Well, free agent frenzy has come and gone. There's more free agents to sign, but the first day finishes with a bang like it always does. Everybody is overpaid. Everybody is hopeful. Everyone who signed a free agent thinks they got the right one, and it was a necessary price to pay in order for success right now, because make no mistake about it, when you're buying free agents, you are saying we have a piece that we think we can add that will help us win today. These are pieces that you may be able to build into the future with, but you pay the price in order to bring them in. So let's go ahead and let's talk about 6 of the biggest free name signings and let's grade them. I'll give you a very comprehensive breakdown on my favorite 6 or most notable 6 free agents, and then I'm going to grade all of the rest at the end of the video. Are you ready? I'm pretty excited. Let's get after it. Let's go ahead and start with the bang, shall we? The prize pick, the big dog, as it will, Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau moves over to Columbus, and oi, there are 2 big things to talk about with this. So let's go ahead and grade it, and then I'll give you my feelings on what the hell just happened here to the Calgary Flames, to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the National Hockey League, and us as fans. Johnny Gaudreau leaves the Flames at age 29, basically. He's 28 and 11 months right now, and he moves over to the Columbus Blue Jackets. He ranks right now as the number 2 player in the NHL according to advanced statistics over the last 3 years. He has a goals above replacement of 31.2. He has a wins above replacement at 5.6, and he has a points above replacement at 10.6. Those are monster numbers, behind and joining only Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid as the big 3 right now. We all know he had a monster year, tallying 115 points. 40 of those are goals, so he's one of the rare true goal scorers in the NHL. 7 years, $9.8 million, and it expires when Johnny Hockey is 36 years old. Now what we do is go ahead and we bring up the comparisons. Go to capfriendly.com and we bring up the comparisons, and what we end up seeing is Johnny Gaudreau is ranked at number 12 right now in overall cap hit. This means it is an incredible value for what they ended up signing him for over there in Columbus. Unbelievable to think that you can get Johnny Gaudreau for $9.75 million on a 7-year deal. That puts him below guys like Jack Eichel, Tyler Seguin. Hey, we all know some contracts don't age well, right? Just like some YouTube videos, but it puts him below premier players like Alexander Barkov right now, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, basically the entire Maple Leafs. This is an incredible signing deal right up there with Nikita Kucherov of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So based on the price alone and the talent of the player, I've got to grade this one an A+. Anytime you can get a top 3 NHL player, and if you don't think he's top 3, that's fine. The stats say he is. So anytime you can get a top 3 NHL player for that kind of deal, you're going to lower your risk. They bring in a boom player. He is going to join Patrick Laine and a young core over there in Columbus. It's an A+ for me. Now, the big thing to talk about here is why? Why did he go over to Columbus? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think it makes any sense to the hockey world. He got offered $10.5 million over an 8-year term with the Calgary Flames. I understand taxes and all that aside, but they were a Stanley Cup contending team, and he was the engine that drove the line of Lindholm and Tkachuk. So huge blow to the Calgary Flames. It is really going to derail the Flames, in my opinion. It is going to make contract negotiations with guys like Tkachuk even harder. And now when you look at the options he had, we heard about the Islanders, we heard about the Rangers, we heard about the Devils, we heard about the Flyers, all these big time teams in the States, and he goes to the small market of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Sure, they're kind of up and coming, but they have no history of real success, no history of sustainable success, and players exit there faster than they exit Winnipeg, and that is saying something because they exit both cities pretty quickly. Hey, I'm a Jets fan, don't take it personally there. So I don't get why he's going here, other than the fact that maybe he likes what he sees, but he took less money, he took less term, he went to a worse team right now. I would have thought Johnny Gaudreau would have wanted to win. It is shocking. It is surprising. We'll have to wait and see. but the Jackets nail it. Moving over to the St. Louis Blues, Robert Thomas ends up extending his contract with St. Louis. He has 1 year left at $2.8 million next year with the Blues, but he signs an 8-year deal with them. This big, tough Canadian kid, you guys love when I say it, 6 feet tall. He is a monster unit of a man at 218 pounds there. He's only 23 years old. He's 24 when this contract kicks in. He ranks number 37 overall right now in the NHL according to advanced stats. He's got an incredible goals above replacement, an incredible wins above replacement, and points above replacement. He had 76 points last year for the Blues. 20 of those are goals. He had an absolute breakout season. He's a number one center, and centers get paid like gangbusters. It's 8 years at $8 million. 32 years old when this expires. What do we think about this one? Well, all we got to do is bring up the comparables again. Take a look at this. It puts him right between number 31 and 36 as the highest paid players in the NHL. Banana sandwich. This is hometown discount all day, every day. He could grow into this contract. This is going to be one of those contracts that I think we look back on 3 or 4 years from now and go, what a steal. A la the Nathan McKinnon and John Tavares deal when they were at home with their original teams. It puts them just above Nick Suzuki. If you ask me who I'd like better, Suzuki or Thomas, I'm probably going to lean towards Thomas, but I flip-flop on these two. I really like them both. They're totally different players. They're both young. It's the best comparable on this one. Nick Suzuki paid at number 36. Thomas comes in just above him. You gotta love the deal that Thomas got, taking a look at some of the names on this list. So final grade for Robert Thomas. Well, you got Jack Hughes, you got Robert Thomas, you got Nick Suzuki, all three young guns getting paid roughly the same. I'm giving this one an A+. You lock in a number one center right now until he's 32 years old for that kind of deal. Great job by St. Louis. Moving over to Edmonton now, let's talk about Evander Kane. Why? Because people love talking about Evander Kane. He gets clicks, and I love talking about Evander Kane. Kane is almost 31 years old right now, and he ends up signing a 4-year, $5.1 million deal with the Oilers. He was an impactful player for Edmonton, putting up 38 points for the Oilers in his half a season that he played, 22 goals, and we all know about the playoff run that he had. Sure, he plays with Connor McDavid, and we can say, hey, anybody can score with McDavid, but Kane's always been a talented player. He's just had a troubled past. Unfortunately, he's left a wake of, let's call it, fire behind him, leaving Winnipeg, Buffalo, and San Jose. But the people of Edmonton and Evander Kane and Edmonton management feel like he's turned a corner, and this is a new Evander Kane that we're seeing. His rank in advanced statistics is horrible. It has never been good. Rank 436, well, I'm going to show you a couple different sites that take a look at it. I normally use Evolving Hockey, but his goals above replacement, wins above replacement, it's lower due to his defensive prowess and just we've had a long sample size of Evander Kane, guys. He had a great little run here with Edmonton, but the sample sizes don't lie. And when I say Evander Kane isn't an elite player, this is why. This is why we use advanced stats. It takes bias out of it. It takes our eye test out of it. But you can't just use advanced stats because he had a damn good year, didn't he? This expires at age 35. And normally I would say this is an A+ contract and a very low risk contract. The reason I can't say that is that if Evander Kane doesn't commit to playing to this and we don't see any more shenanigans from Evander Kane, we all know he missed seasons because of vaccination status. He's lied to the NHL. He's had trouble at home. There's no point in rehashing the list. But if Evander Kane plays this whole way, you can't control injury, but if he's a good model Edmonton Oiler, this is a money deal. If he's not, there is some risk to this because 4 years of Evander Kane, you just got to ask his last 3 teams how that fared for them. I want to also bring up Kane's comparables from The Athletic. So we have 4 major sources for advanced statistics in the league, and Evolving Hockey is one of the best. Also, The Athletic with Dom Lucia's in is also one of the best. So let's go ahead and see what The Athletic and Dom say. They give him a much more favorable approach. They do it in these visual cards. You can see there on the card. He is gold for goals. That means he's one of the best in the NHL at scoring goals. He is gray, which means he's, a little bit above average when it comes to assists. And when it comes to defense, he's unfortunately a negative. He contributes negatively to his team on defense. And that is strictly with the Edmonton Oilers, even with his great season last year. He's pretty good with points. He's pretty good with offense. And he's got a pretty good GSVA, but it is not in the category of elite. It is not in the category of game breaker, even though he has turned corners in that for the Edmonton Oilers. I compare him a lot to Arturi Letkinen for the Colorado Avalanche. He scores big-time goals in big-time minutes in big-time situations, but overall, both of those players are not comparable to guys like McDavid or McKinnon or guys we would consider elite. So a much more favorable response here from The Athletic. Comparables for Kane here in terms of this contract, well, it's a pretty risk-free contract in my opinion. It puts him in line with guys like Tom Wilson, Yanni Gourde, and Byran Rust. And what I like about this is they're all right around the same age, with contracts expiring close-ish to each other at this point in time. So this deal makes sense when it comes to market value. There was a lot of rumors out there that Evander Kane was actually going to go ahead and look for 7.1 or whatever it was, but this is his true market value. I don't think it's an overpay or an underpay. I think it's just right when you take a look at the market comparisons out there. So finally, what do I grade this? I'm actually going to give it a B+, and you guys know I'm hard on Kane. It's a B+ because the fit is amazing in Edmonton. If he can play through the contract and he has turned a corner, he's going to be dynamic and a power forward for them. However, I can't give it an A or an A+ because it does come with the inherent risk of Evander Kane just doing Evander Kane things. But hey, fingers crossed for the Oilers. McDavid's going to love this one. Oilers Nation probably loves this one. All right, so those have been all warm hugs and kisses on those contracts. Let's go ahead and talk about a dumpster fire on one, because this is hot garbage sports after all, and that is Mikhail Sergachev of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh my God. What did they do? This is I can't comprehend this. I'm going to explain it, but I can't comprehend it. There's a big difference. He's only 24 years old. He's a baby. He's played in the NHL for 6 years. His entire adult life, he's been in the NHL. That is incredible. He has now made it to unrestricted free agency, and he gets an 8-year contract for $8.5 million. Woof. That expires when he is 32 years old. And why is that woof? Because he hasn't done anything to earn it yet. He's got all the potential in the world. He's played in a 5-6 role. Sure, he's played on the power play. You are signaling with this that this is the next Victor Hedman, that this guy is in a class with guys like Dougie Hamilton, Cale Makar, Charlie McAvoy. This guy, really? He's in the class with those players? Give me a freaking break. His rank doesn't even rank at this point in time. Fuck it. Not even going to put it on there. Goals above replacement, 2.4. That's not very good. We just saw Gaudreau over 30. His wins above replacement of 0.4. That basically means he's even Steven, and his points above replacement at 0.8. This guy isn't contributing anywhere according to advanced statistics. And then when you take a look at his stat line, 731-38, not impressive. Now, I watched a lot of Sergachev in the playoffs. My eye test says he has moments of sheer dominance and brilliance, and then he has moments of, where are you going? What are you doing? Offensively gifted. Sometimes he still needs to grow into himself and understand positioning as a defenseman, how to use his body properly and when to make the right play. And other times he goes into pure, just unbelievable, amazing Sergachev mode. That's why he ends up getting paid this. Now, number one defensemen are really hard to come by, and don't get it twisted. This contract states you have the pressure and you are expected to be a number one defenseman in the NHL, and maybe even your number one or number two are on your team behind Norris Trophy winning Victor Hedman. All right, if he grows into it, it's a fair contract. What makes defensemen tricky is that their price skyrockets compared to any other position in the NHL when they actually hit pay dirt. The problem is they've paid this guy like he hit pay dirt, and he hasn't hit pay dirt yet. Let's take a look at a few comparisons now over the last 3 seasons between Hedman and Sergachev. Taking a look at Victor Hedman, you can see his goals above replacement, 18.1, 9.3, 19.8. That's an elite defenseman. Wins above replacement, 3.2, 1.7, 3.5. Now we take a look at Mikhail Sergachev. Goals above replacement, career best 5.5, wins above replacement 1, 3.4 and 0.06 and 2.4 and 0.4. One of these things is not like the other, folks. That's why I say woof. You gotta prove it before you get a deal, in my opinion, that is this big. But hey, Tampa Bay is all in. We'll do what we did with Evander Kane. Let's go over to The Athletic and see what The Athletic thinks about him. And you know what The Athletic thinks? He's just fine. At the end of the day, He's just fine. He is above average for a defenseman. He's a pretty good defenseman. His defense is actually his worst characteristic, which is mind-blowing when you take a look at this one. But they give him a lot more credit than Evolving Hockey does based on their statistical models. Taking a look at Sergachev's comparisons on capfriendly.com, this is why it is such a problem. Okay, Erik Karlsson, the albatross of the contract that is defenseman, but take a look at some of those players that just signed deals. Charlie McAvoy, $9.5 million, second best defenseman in the NHL statistically, behind Cale Makar, who ends up signing a $9 million deal and is of similar age of Mikhail Sergachev. You're going to tell me Cale Makar, Mikhail Sergachev, they're close enough that you're going to split hairs with $500,000? No way. Brutal deal. It actually puts him right around guys like Miro Heiskanen and Alex Pietrangelo and Dougie Hamilton, and give me those guys all day, every day. Heiskanen has proven it. He may be young, but he has done it at 22. Heiskanen's one of my favorite young up-and-coming defensemen right now. He deserved the contract he got. Guys like Jacob Trouba had to stay in the league until they were like 26 to prove it in order to get a deal like this. It makes no sense. You're paying him as a premier defenseman. You're paying him as a top 5 young defenseman, and you're paying him as a top 15 NHL defenseman. Banana sandwich. So what's my final grade here on Sergachev? Today, it's a D. I would give it an F, but Sergachev does have some talent, and if he grows into his contract, it could turn into a B, because that is still a lot of cheddar to pay for this guy. We have come a long way, Tampa Bay, from the days of Steve Yzerman and the deals he was able to chisel out. Yikes. All right, let's pivot over and talk about 3 goaltenders, because I love talking goaltenders. They end up changing a franchise. Let's pull up Darcy Kuemper. This is the best goaltender signing going right now in free agency. Why? He's ranked number 8 in the NHL. And yes, we include backups and starters in advanced statistics, and that's fine. He's still ranked number 8. That's amazing. Goals above replacement, 30.4. Wins above replacement, 5.3. Points above replacement, 10.1. Those are monster numbers. His 2021-2022 season saw him ranked number 5 in save percentage at 9.21. That's elite. Anything over 9.2 is an elite save percentage. It puts you in top 5 for NHL starters. Goals against average, he's ranked number 12. So a few more goals went in than they should, but his save percentage is more important. In my opinion, that puts him at 2.54. When you take a look at the deal he signed, okay, he's 32 years old, but goalies can usually play longer than players. I don't have a lot of fear of goalies playing till 37. They can still be very productive. Take a look at Marc-Andre Fleury. Take a look at any example of older goalies in the league. They can usually do it. The term is, it's fine. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is the most elite goalie that gets signed in free agency. He goes over to the Caps. Look, the Caps want to make one last hurrah. They can still build around him. They have solved their goaltending problem for 5 years with Darcy Kuemper on this deal. Taking a look at Kemper's comps, he comes in as the number 13 paid goaltender in the NHL. And yes, we are going to talk about Jack Campbell, who is number 15 on this list. When you take a look at this list of paydays on there, I feel very, very comfortable with Darcy Kuemper at number 13 on this list. Much more comfortable than Matt Murray. Yes, even more comfortable than Matt Murray, with the other team retaining some of that salary, so that 4.68. This is just, it's just a home run deal. I mean, that is right in line for where you want to be and what you want to spend on a starting goalie in the NHL today. So overall, I'm going to grade this one an A. It's really hard to get an A+ for me at this point in time. I mean, Johnny Hockey and Robert Thomas just blew the roof off with what they were able to do, but this is an amazing deal. It's an A all day. Good job by Washington. Moving over to Detroit and Stevie Yzerman, the man, the myth, the legend himself, and Ville Husso. This is who I think is the second most attractive goalie to sign. Why? Because it's 3 years at $4.75 million. He's not that young. It feels like he's that young, but he really isn't. Goalies take forever to develop though, so it's all right. 27 years old. He's going to be 30 years old when this guy expires. He had a really good year for St. Louis. He had a bad playoff run, but he was able to bounce back, and we all know the pressure on goalies and what goes through their head in the playoffs is totally different. You got to play a couple playoff runs before you start getting the mental toughness as a goalie. And if Stevie Y says this is the guy he wants, I'm going to trust in Stevie Y for it. I don't think there's a lot of risk in this contract. He's ranked number 8 in save percentage. He's ranked number 14 in goals against average, and he's ranked number 14 by advanced statistics. This guy is fine, and he could grow into this deal, and this could become a steal. If not, it's fair market value. So overall, I would grade this signing a B. All right, Jackie boy, Leafs fans, you are relieved. I will only now rip on you for Matt Murray. You no longer have to get ripped on for Jack Campbell, because you all know, if you've been on this channel for some time, Jack Campbell's a guesser. Jack Campbell is like Tim Thomas. These guys have fundamental flaws in their goaltending. It doesn't mean they can't be effective, but when you are a guessing goaltender, it does two things. It's the highest of highs and it's the lowest of lows. And you know what I want in goaltending? Consistency. So it's great that you can have moments, and we saw it with Toronto with Campbell, where you can be absolutely a beast and one of the best in the league and make an all-star game. And then you can have moments where you're one of the worst in the league and you are below backup status or at backup status. And that has been Jack Campbell. He's 30 years old. He moves over to Edmonton. I don't see how this solves Edmonton's goaltending problem. Koskinen and Smith, Jack Campbell, all kind of the same to me. You're going to get amazing performances. You're going to get bad performances. I actually think Smith was the best goaltender out of all three, but hey, age gets us all. So Campbell moves over. Edmonton, I don't know. I'm hearing that the Edmonton fans are pretty okay with this one. Shout out to you, Lance, for always keeping me in tune with Oilers Nation. But 5 years at $5 million at 30 years old, you just heard me say age doesn't bother me, and it doesn't. But there's no even way I can spin this to say there's a youthful boost for Jack. I mean, he's right in the prime of his career, but he ranks 49th in the NHL in terms of advanced statistics, and that says a 3-year average. I actually had to go back and make this last year's average his career year, and it was still 49. There was nothing I could do to improve these numbers from Evolving Hockey. GAR of 14.1, sure, great if you're a player, not great if you're a goaltender. Wins above replacement 2.5, points above replacement at 4.8. That's backup numbers. There's nothing you can do about it. That's because he had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Save percentage, he is ranked number 19. So if you don't believe in advanced statistics, 9.14 does not put you in elite it does not put you in elite territory. It puts you in just fine. That's NHL starter territory. Goals against average at 2.64, number 18. Again, NHL starter territory. So I'm not saying he's not worth this deal. And actually, if we take a look at this clip here,
the answer is probably a number with a 5. That's the likeliest answer, is he's going to ask and settle for a number that starts with a 5.
You'll see that I'm brilliant when it comes to calculating these monetary values well before. So we dropped that way back in December when Campbell was hot, said he would end up getting about $5 million. He ends up getting exactly what we think we got. Why? Because it's very simple to go out there and take a look at these comparables. You just saw the exact same comparable with Kuemper. Jack Campbell's on the bottom. We can compare goalies in terms of statistics, performance, wins, and go ahead and find out where they're going to place. So that one was an easy one, a layup for us. He ends up going to the Oilers. I don't think he solved the Oilers' problems. I think he's a fine stopgap, but like for a team that is always cap strung, my challenge with this is great for a year or two because, yeah, you got a lot of cap space, but you're just going to put yourself right back into cap hell with deals like this. Overall, Edmonton, I'm going to grade this one a C. All right, so those were my top 6 most interesting signings, but let's go ahead and bring up the big list, or at least it's not fully complete, but what I think are still worth talking about. We're just not going to go into as much detail. Now, remember, you can go over to evolvinghockey.com and take a look at advanced stats. You can go to capfriendly.com and take a look at payroll and see where they sit. You can go ahead to places like Quant Hockey or NHL.com and find regular point statistics and compare them to people being paid very similar amounts of money to what these free agents are signed, and you can make your own grades and let me know. Once you've done that, go down below, comment below, and let me know what grades you have on these players. Because at the end of the day, it is just an opinion piece. I got a pretty good eye for this, but free agents are always going to cost you maximum dollars, and they're always going to benefit you in the short term, the first year or two. And then after that, the contracts usually end up getting hairier and hairier as you go forward and forward, because they usually don't have the age on their side that, say, an RFA does, or somebody that comes in that's a draft pick, as well as the fact that because of the overpay when you're playing into your 30s, some of these guys into their late 30s, it can become pretty sticky. So it doesn't matter if you win the cup now, but it does matter if you miss your window for the cup and then you're stuck with those albatross deals. Also, I want to say a big thanks to all of our members here on this page. Shout out to every single one of you guys. You can join down below with the join button. And I want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody else who has subscribed, given a thumbs up, and joined. This channel's blown up like gangbusters. Now let's get back to the rest of the lists. The Tampa Bay Lightning have Cernak and Cirelli, defenseman and a centerman. 8-year matching deals each. I'm going to give him a B and a B+. So that makes up for the Sergachev deal. These are much better. Cernak at $5.2 million for a defenseman. Great. Any defenseman under 6 that's going to play in your top 4, that's a fantastic deal in my opinion. It'll be interesting to see how he continues going forward. There's no McDonough. There's no Rutta. There's going to be a lot of changes. Cernak, I loved his block shots and his hustle last year. Cirelli, second best defensive forward in the league right now behind Patrice Bergeron. Top 3 if you want to throw Matthews in there as well too. Those are your 3 big guys that are scoring points, playing on the top 6 that are defensive minded. Bergeron is miles above all of them. But if there was no Bergeron in the league, I do agree with my buddy Gary that I think, you know what, this guy could actually win a Selke. So he does a lot of work. Love these deals. Edmonton also signs Brett Kulak, 4 years, $2.75 million. I'm giving that one an A. Why? Any defenseman that cheap that can play in your top 6? That's an A. Easy A for me. Claude Giroux signs with the other team in Ontario, 3 years at $6.5 million. I'm giving that one a C+. Look, you need veteran leadership. I think these guys actually won free agency as a whole between the draft, free agency, the trades. These guys killed it. They crushed it. They did amazing. The Giroux contract in isolation at his age, I'm not a huge fan of, but I understand veteran presence and captaincy in the locker room, but I'm still giving it a C+ at $6.5 million. Ilya Mikheyev ends up leaving Toronto. The Orcas take a chance on him. The right winger gets $4.8 million. That's fair market value for a top 6 winger if you think he's going to be in there. And worst case scenario with Mikheyev, he's a fantastic penalty killer. He's got speed for days. I think this is a very good signing. I'm going to go ahead and give it a C+ though, because that is still a lot of cheddar. It was a great player with what he was being paid with Toronto last year, but he's not the youngest of men, although he's not at 30 yet. It's a shorter contract at 4 years, which I like. It's not going to crush the Orcas, but I can't really bump it to a B with that price. Burakovsky gets a B at 5.5. I think he's slightly better than... I think he's a much safer, more talented player than Ilya Mikheyev, so I like the $5.5 million that Burakovsky plays. I like what Seattle's doing, and right behind the other Ontario team, I think Seattle's had a very good offseason, so B for me there. Moving over to Detroit, Stevie Y, Chiarot, Copp, and Perron. Chiarot, I don't understand this. I've watched Chiarot his entire career. It's C+ for me. Okay, he's under $6 million. That's the only benefit to this. I think this guy has been playing over his position for some time. He was fine with Florida. He was all right with Montreal. He was all right with Winnipeg. I actually think he may finish his career as the most overpaid defenseman and overvalued defenseman in the NHL of all time based on how good he actually is. You can tell, not a huge Chiarot fan, but I'm not a hater either. I just would like this deal to come in at like 3.5 to 3 million. But again, Stevie Y is smarter than me, so I am never going to go against Stevie Y, but I can't just give everything he does an A. Copp, this is an A. I think this is just a lights out deal. The guy does everything. He can kill penalties. It shows he's a right winger. He can also play center. He's a great draw man. He does everything you need for a team. He fits into the top 6. Veteran presence, under 30, easy A. And David Perron, 2 years, $4.75 million. All this guy does is crush it in the playoffs. Give that one an A+ all day. Vincent Trocheck over to the New York Rangers. Woof. Trocheck's a great player, but 7 years? Oh boy, this guy is going to go into his late 30s on this deal. $5.63 million is actually very cheap for a center. A third line center in the NHL goes for between $5 and $6.5 million. So the price is fine. I'm just really nervous about this contract. But hey, the Rangers had a lot of cap space. They're all in. They missed out on Johnny Gaudreau. There is nothing wrong with adding center depth. I'm just really worried about his age. So I'm going to go ahead and give that one a C. But right now, today, in the next 2 years, Trocheck's a nice ad. Mason Marchment, I think this is a really good ad. It's a B. 4 years, $4.5 million over to the Dallas Stars. He could absolutely blow up this contract. This may be one of the best potential contracts in order to be signing. So he ends up joining Hintz, Robertson, Pavelski. He's going to do some damage over in Dallas. Pittsburgh, oh boy, they did a lot of stuff. They basically had to rebuild their entire roster. And what did they do? They re-signed everybody that is over 30, gave them sweetheart deals, and probably ran their team into the ground in the long run. I hate to say it, Pittsburgh. I'm a huge Penguins fan, but like, yikes. Crosby's one of my favorite players. All the players on this list have been some of my favorite players to watch in the NHL, but this is hard to watch. You don't need players retiring in your jersey. Let them walk. Let them go find other places. Crosby is unreplaceable. Jan Rutta coming in at 3 years, 2.8. That's an A. Love that deal. But then we take a look at Evgeni Malkin. I don't know about that. 4 years at $6.1 million. C. Woof. But he's still an elite player-ish at times. Maybe. I don't know. If he can find any resemblance of his past game as Evgeni Malkin, then Frankenstein will absolutely outperform a C level of this contract, but I would have let him walk. I think their original thought process was correct. Kris Letang, this guy, he's 35. What are you doing? 6 years, 35. He's going to be 41 when this deal's done. Sure, he could retire, but maybe he doesn't. $6.1 million is a lot of money to play hockey. He's one of the most elite defensemen in the NHL, in my opinion, but like, once again, that term is way too high, but keep the band together. Byran Rust, roughly 30 years old, 6 years at $5.13 million. Give that one a B. I like Byran Rust. Takes him into his mid-30s. I think this contract's going to be rough, though, on his last 2 years. Rickard Rakell, again, same thing, 6 years, $5 million. Give that one a B. These guys are going to be in their mid to late. These guys are going to be in their mid-30s to early 40s by the time this all clears out. This will be a mess in Pittsburgh in a couple years, but for now, they have one of the more talented teams in the NHL. They can still win a Stanley Cup. Are they in the class of guys like the Lightning and the Avalanche right now, or even the youthful up-and-coming New York Rangers or the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Florida Panthers? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to have to see how they do next year, because with another year of age comes another year of challenges, but they do have one of the most talented rosters on the NHL today as it stands, but the future ain't bright. The now, pretty good. The Avs sign a whole bunch of people. Arturi Letkinen, I like this deal. B+ for me. 5 years, 4.5. Josh Manson, don't like the deal. 4.5, 4 years. I think that's a bit of an overpay. Low risk, though, on a defenseman. Valeri Nichushkin, 8 years, 6.13. Woof. It's a winger. He's had one good year. Yes, he was important in the playoffs, but that is a massive commitment to give to a guy like that. Sure, it could work out, and this could actually be one of the best deals in the NHL. If he plays as a top 2 winger and enters into that top 20 NHL player, yes, could be amazing. Jeremy Yager says this guy's got the potential to be one of the best of all time in the NHL. I guess we'll see it, Valerie, but you have the bag now. Let's see how you end up playing. And then Georgiev, the goalie, love this one. A+, one of my favorite under the radar signings. I think this guy could absolutely be a thief, a stealer. This is my favorite goaltender now playing for Colorado, even above Kuemper and even above Grubauer. I said Grubauer was a bum. Turns out I was right. And I said he was a bum when he was with Colorado. Colorado was just that good. Darcy Kuemper, I said maybe, maybe not, but I like the contract that he had and he won a cup. So it turns out he is very, very good. Georgiev, though, look, I'm always saying it wrong. I'm always going to say it wrong. Get it over. But I think this guy could absolutely be a steal. Watching him in New York, he has potential to be elite. Nick Leddy, don't like the deal. Love the Robert Thomas deal. Don't like the Nick Leddy deal. There's enough defensemen there in St. Louis. I don't understand that one at all. And Frank Vatrano going over to the Ducks. I like this deal. It's a B+. I think it's very safe. All right, team, there you go. That's my entire opinion on the free agent day. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. We're going to catch you in the next video. And as well, I've got a bunch of other videos I'm going to be making over the off season. So subscribe. I am going to do my best to go team by team and talk about their entire off season before the start of the NHL regular season. We'll catch you in the next one.